before you scroll, pause for a moment. What if the next 60 minutes could change the direction of your entire day? What if before emails, before stress, before the noise, you connected with the God who already knows your battles and has already prepared your blessings? Stay with me until the end, because today we're not just praying, we're inviting the presence of God to walk with us into this day. And at the end, I want to pray a special final blessing over you and your family. Don't miss it. This morning is more than another sunrise, more than another alarm clock ringing in the background of your busy life. This moment is sacred. It is a breath gifted by God himself. And as your eyes open and your heart awakens, the very first thing he invites you into is surrender and gratitude. Surrender, because this day doesn't belong to stress, anxiety, or control. Gratitude, because everything you see, everything you are is wrapped in his grace before your feet hit the floor and your mind rushes into emails, schedules, and responsibilities. God is gently whispering, give this day to me. Let me carry what you cannot. Let me lead before you try to run. And this is where your prayer begins. Not with asking, not with worrying, but with surrender. God, this is your day. My thoughts, my plans, my emotions, I lay them at your feet. When you start your day this way, something shifts. It's like your soul exhales. The weight that you didn't even know you were holding begins to lift. You're no longer trying to do everything by your own strength. You're not waking up to prove something, impress someone, or meet impossible expectations. Instead, you're waking up to abide in God's presence. You're saying, Lord, I don't have all the answers, but I know you do. I don't know what today holds, but I trust the one who holds me. Surrender isn't weakness, it's worship. It's the recognition that God is bigger than your fears, stronger than your struggles, and closer than your breath. It's an act of trust that opens the door for God's peace to flood your heart before the chaos of the world tries to steal it. And then gratitude. Gratitude brings light into places that were once shadowed by worry. It changes how you see the morning. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you begin to see what's already present. You start noticing the small miracles. The air you're breathing, the heart still beating, the roof above, the people you love, the purpose you carry. Gratitude is not ignoring your problems, it's acknowledging God in the middle of them. It is choosing to say, God, thank you for another chance. Thank you for your mercy that's new every single morning. Thank you for loving me even when I didn't earn it. Thank you for seeing me when the world overlooks me. When gratitude becomes your first language of the morning, it changes the rest of your day because it roots you not in scarcity, but in abundance, not in fear, but in faith. Imagine waking up, not scrolling through social media or checking messages, but sitting silently for a moment. The room is quiet. The world is still. You breathe in slowly and whisper, Lord, I surrender. You begin to thank him, not just for the big blessings, but for the gift of today. In that moment, your heart shifts from survival to surrender, from stress to stillness. This is where true prayer begins, not as a checklist, but as a relationship. You're not rushing, you're resting, you're not performing, you're present. You're not trying to get God's attention, you already have it. Craig Groeschel often reflects this in his messages. Prayer isn't a moment we rush through, it's a posture we live in. It's waking up and declaring that God's purpose is greater than our plans. It's recognizing that before you make one decision, send one text, or step into one meeting, your soul needs to remember who is on the throne. When we begin with surrender, we're realigning our hearts. We're saying, God, lead me, not my will, but yours. It's echoing Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, where surrender and obedience met under the weight of love. Maybe you're holding on to something this morning. Maybe there's a fear that kept you awake last night. Maybe there's uncertainty about your future, a broken relationship, a diagnosis, a financial burden. Surrender doesn't mean you ignore those things. It means you stop carrying them alone. You place them in the hands of the one who already knows how they will unfold. God is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms you. He's not intimidated by the mountain in front of you. He is the God who moves mountains, the God who walks on storms, the God who breathes peace into panic. Surrender says, Lord, I trust you with this. And even if nothing changes around you immediately, something changes within you, because surrender exchanges your burden for his presence. And from that place of surrender comes gratitude that isn't forced or fake, but real and rooted. It's thanking God not just for what he has done, but for who he is. It's thanking him in the waiting, in the unanswered prayers, in the middle of the battle. Gratitude isn't limited to victory. It lives in the valley. It's saying, God, I don't have everything I want, but I thank you for everything I need. I thank you that you're with me in every step, in every breath. When you start your prayer here, your heart becomes lighter because you're no longer praying from desperation, but from trust. This first keynote is not just the beginning of a prayer. It's the foundation of a life anchored in God. Before you ask for protection, before you pray for blessings, you acknowledge his presence. You remember that he's already here, that he's already working, that he's already gone ahead of you into this day. You slow down enough to remember that today is a gift, not a guarantee. You surrender the pressure to be perfect, the urge to control everything, and you choose instead to be faithful, present, and grateful on BR. Let this be the rhythm of your morning. Waking up and surrendering, waking up and smiling in gratitude, waking up and saying, God, I give you this day. Use me, lead me, change me, help me see what you see. Help me love like you love. And as you do, you begin to notice how peace follows you into conversations, how patience rises in moments of frustration, how joy sneaks into even the smallest tasks. Because when your heart starts with God, your steps follow him throughout the day. You're not just praying for a good day. You're inviting God to define your day, and that changes everything. You sit in stillness, hands open, heart soft, and voice quiet but honest. Lord, I surrender. Thank you for today. Thank you for your mercy, your presence, your grace. This isn't just how you start a prayer. This is how you start to truly live. When the day begins, it's easy to feel like you're already behind. Notifications are calling for your attention, responsibilities are waiting, and your mind starts racing through lists of what needs to be done. But in this sacred early hour, before the world demands anything from you, there is a quiet invitation from God, not to rush, but to align, to pause and say, Lord, guide me. I don't want to move ahead of your will, and I don't want to fall behind it. I want to walk in step with you. This is the heart of inviting God's guidance and wisdom. It's where faith becomes direction and prayer becomes the steering wheel of your day. You see, asking God for guidance isn't just about making big life decisions like choosing a career or a relationship. It's about inviting him into the simple, everyday moments, the conversations you will have, the choices you will make, the attitudes you will carry. It's recognizing that human wisdom alone is never enough. You can have strategy, intelligence, experience, and still be lost without the voice of God leading you. Scripture reminds us in Proverbs 3:5-6 to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding, to acknowledge him in all our ways, and he will make our paths straight. That is not a poetic line, it's a promise, a daily invitation from God to walk through this day, not with your own map, but with his. When you invite God's wisdom, you're declaring, Lord, I don't want to make decisions based on pressure or emotion. I want to make them based on your truth. Wisdom from God is different from knowledge. Knowledge fills the mind, but wisdom directs the heart. Knowledge is about what you know. Wisdom is about how you live. And real wisdom begins not in intellect, but in humility, acknowledging that God sees what we can't see and knows what we don't know. You can only receive wisdom when you first admit your need for it. That's why this prayer sounds like, God, I need you today. I need your voice louder than my fears, your truth stronger than my doubts, and your will greater than my plans. Maybe today you're facing a decision. It could be something small, like how to respond to a difficult person or how to use your time. Or maybe it's something big, your future, your finances, your family. Instead of letting anxiety make the choice for you, let God's wisdom guide you. Invite him in. He's not a distant God who only shows up for emergencies. He is Emmanuel, God with us, present in every moment. When you pray for his guidance, you're choosing not to react to life, but to respond to his voice. This is where your heart begins to shift from I have to figure this out to God, show me the way. When Craig Groeschel teaches on this, his words are practical yet deeply spiritual. Walking with God is not complicated, it's consistent. It's in the daily choice to seek his guidance. It's not waiting until you're desperate to hear his voice. It's choosing to hear him while your heart is still calm. Because when you learn to hear his voice in the stillness, you'll recognize it in the storm. So how do you invite God's guidance and wisdom? You begin by slowing down. You open scripture, not as a task, but as a conversation. You approach God with honesty. You say, Lord, I need your wisdom. Help me to see people the way you see them. Help me to respond with grace instead of anger. Help me choose words that build up, not tear down. Lead my hands, my thoughts, and my steps. And then you listen. Prayer isn't only talking, it's waiting for his peace, waiting for his prompting. And his guidance often comes in ways that are gentle. It may be a scripture that comes to mind, a sense of peace about a decision, or a quiet conviction in your heart when you're about to take a wrong turn. God's wisdom rarely shouts, it whispers, but those whispers carry power. They say, let go of bitterness. They say, wait, don't rush. They say, forgive them. They say, this is the way, walk in it. And when you decide to follow those whispers, you're not just being spiritual, you're being wise, because following God is always wiser than following fear. Think of King Solomon, one of the wisest men who ever lived. When God asked him what he wanted, Solomon didn't ask for wealth, power, or success. He asked for wisdom to lead well, and God was pleased with that request. Today, you can pray the same. God, give me wisdom to lead myself, my family, my work, and my heart well. I don't just want success today. I want your will. I don't just want to impress people. I want to honor you. That prayer moves the heart of God because it comes from humility and trust. There are moments in your day when you'll want to react. Someone says something hurtful, a door closes unexpectedly, or plans fall apart. In those moments, pause. Whisper, Lord, guide me. Wisdom might tell you to stay quiet instead of defending yourself. It might tell you to speak truth. When staying silent feels safer, it might tell you to wait when everything in you wants to rush. It might tell you to let go when your heart wants to control. Wisdom doesn't always make life easier, but it always makes it better. It leads you towards peace and keeps you from regret. And inviting God's guidance isn't just about asking him to show you the right path. It's asking him to make your heart right before you walk it. It's praying, God, align my desires with yours. Help me want what you want. Help me love what you love. Because sometimes the greatest guidance God gives isn't a direction. It's a transformation of your heart so that you can walk in any direction with purity, faith, and confidence in him. There will be mornings when guidance feels hard to hear. When your mind is busy, your heart is tired, or your faith feels weak. That doesn't mean God is silent. It means he's inviting you to lean in deeper, to open his word, to stay in prayer a little longer, to trust even when you cannot see. God's guidance is not a roadmap, it's a relationship. He doesn't hand you a plan and walk away. He walks with you step by step. His word says the steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord. Not the leaps, not the miles ahead, the steps, one at a time. So you begin your morning this way. God, today I choose your wisdom over my feelings. I choose your guidance over my assumptions. I choose your voice over the noise of the world. And when you pray this, you're not just asking God to join you in your plans, you're asking him to lead, and you're choosing to follow. And as you move through your day, you'll notice something. There's a quiet strength that fills your soul. You don't panic as quickly. You don't respond out of anger as often. You don't carry the weight alone because you know God is guiding you. He's already gone ahead of you. He's already making a way where there seems to be none. You woke up and surrendered, and now you're walking with purpose because you invited his guidance and his wisdom to lead the way. As the morning light filters through your window, the world outside is already stirring. Noise, challenges, unexpected twists and pressures of every kind. And before you step into it, before your mind is consumed by deadlines and demands, there is a sacred moment to pause and pray for protection and strength. Protection, because life is unpredictable, and strength, because even the simplest task can feel heavy when your soul is weary. This is not just a spiritual formality. This is a conscious choice to place yourself and everything you care about under the shelter of God's presence, to ask Him to cover you with His wisdom, His peace, and His power, knowing that His armor is stronger than any threat the world can throw at you. When you pray for protection, you are acknowledging that there are forces, seen and unseen, that can try to pull you off course. There are distractions, temptations, fears, doubts, and sometimes opposition that you cannot always see. And yet God is your refuge. Scripture reminds us in Psalm 91 that those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It's a promise that God's protection is real, active, and personal. When you begin your morning in prayer, you are not just asking for safety, you are inviting God to surround your thoughts, your steps, your words, your relationships, and even your heart. You are saying, Lord, I cannot face this day on my own. Guard me. Guard my mind, guard my family, guard my path. Shield me from anything that seeks to harm, deceive, or discourage me. Protection is more than a shield against danger. It's a fortification of the spirit. It's a way of telling God, I surrender my vulnerabilities to you. I lay down my fears, my anxieties, my uncertainties. And in doing so, you create space for His strength to rise within you. Strength that doesn't rely on your ability to control everything, but on the power of the one who controls all things. Strength that comes quietly, steadily, patiently, like a river flowing beneath every challenge, keeping you grounded even when the storms rage around you. Consider the times when you have faced difficulty and felt powerless. Maybe it was a stressful situation at work, a strained relationship, or a personal struggle that left you drained. Perhaps you tried to handle it alone and it only grew heavier. Now imagine starting your day with a prayer that acknowledges God as your defender, your source of resilience, your stronghold. You declare, Lord, I am weak, but you are strong. I am fragile, but your power sustains me. I am fearful, but your spirit emboldens me. And suddenly, the heaviness that once weighed on you begins to lift because you are no longer relying on your own strength. You are depending on His. Prayer for protection is not passive. It is active, intentional, and vigilant. As you pray, you are putting on the full armor of God, not in a metaphorical sense, but in a spiritual reality that changes how you experience the day. The belt of truth keeps your mind honest and anchored. The breastplate of righteousness guards your heart from condemnation. The shoes of the gospel of peace prepare you to move without fear. The shield of faith blocks doubts and attacks. The helmet of salvation protects your thoughts. And the sword of the Spirit equips you to speak life and truth. This is a morning practice that strengthens your spirit before the world even knocks at your door. As you pray for strength, remember that it is not always about being invincible. True strength often looks like perseverance when the body is tired, patience when the heart is anxious, and courage when fear tries to whisper lies. Strength in God's presence is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, a steady heartbeat of faith that carries you forward, step by step. Even when the outcome is uncertain, strength is choosing to love when it's difficult, choosing integrity when shortcuts seem easier, choosing hope when despair tries to take hold. And all of this strength comes from the Lord, who promises to renew our inner being like the eagle's wings, to give power to the faint, and to lift us when we feel we cannot rise on our own. In your morning prayer, you might picture God's presence as a fortress surrounding you. Every corner of your life, your family, your work, your relationships, your plans, is enveloped in His protection. You can visualize His angels encamping around you, guarding your steps and guiding your actions. You can declare scripture over your life, speaking aloud promises that fortify your spirit. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. God is my refuge and strength. The Lord will fight for me. I need only to be still. Speaking truth over your life is an act of spiritual defense. It reminds your mind that fear has no authority over you and that God's strength is far greater than any obstacle you face. Think about the times when strength and protection intersect. Maybe you face criticism at work, someone misjudges you, or circumstances seem unfair. Protection keeps you from harm, yes, but strength allows you to respond with grace. Protection shields you, but strength enables you to act in love and courage. Strength without protection may leave you vulnerable. Protection without strength may leave you passive. God provides both because He wants you equipped to face the day fully prepared, not just to survive it, but to thrive in it. Craig Groeschel often emphasizes the practicality of prayer in everyday life. He reminds us that prayer is not separate from life, it is life infused with God's power. When you pray for protection and strength in the morning, you are essentially equipping yourself to handle the ordinary and extraordinary moments that lie ahead. Every encounter, every decision, every unexpected twist is navigated with the awareness that God is your defender and His strength is your foundation. You wake up knowing that the same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. That no challenge is too great, no threat too strong, and no burden too heavy when God is your protector. Morning prayer for protection and strength is also about preparation. Life does not wait for your peace or your courage, it keeps moving. But when you invite God into the first hour, you are preparing yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally for whatever comes. You are arming yourself with faith, not fear. You are building resilience in advance, not reacting in crisis. And the more consistently you practice this, the more instinctive it becomes. You start the day with confidence instead of anxiety, hope instead of doubt, power instead of weakness. Prayer for protection is deeply personal. It acknowledges your need, your limitations, and your reliance on God. Strength recognizes the challenges ahead and the courage required to face them. And together, they form a spiritual partnership with God that carries you through the day. Every morning you wake up and take a few moments to pray this way, you are strengthening the invisible muscles of your spirit, fortifying your mind and securing your heart. It is an investment in your resilience, your faith, and your ability to walk through life unshaken. As you speak these prayers, your heart begins to align with God's promise that He is your refuge, your fortress, and your strength. You feel a sense of peace settling in, a calm assurance that no matter what comes, you are not alone, you are not defenseless, you are not powerless. God's protection surrounds you. God's strength sustains you. God's Spirit equips you. And as the world begins to awaken around you, you step into it fully armored, fully empowered, fully confident in the one who never fails. You might also pray specifically for those you love, lifting up family, friends, and colleagues into God's protective care. Ask God to surround their hearts with peace, to guard their paths, to give them strength in their own challenges, and to shield them from harm. Protection and strength are not just for you, they are for the entire circle of influence God has placed around you. This communal aspect of prayer builds spiritual solidarity, reinforcing the truth that we are never alone in our journey. And finally, prayer for protection and strength is a recognition that life is spiritual as much as it is physical. Many of the battles we face are unseen. Attacks on our peace, temptations that aim to derail us, lies that seek to weaken our faith. By beginning the day in prayer, you acknowledge the reality of these unseen forces and invite God to stand guard over your mind, heart, and spirit. You position yourself under His care, trusting that His strength will carry you through both visible and invisible challenges. Your morning prayer becomes a spiritual shield, a source of fortitude, and a declaration of faith. You begin the day consciously relying on God's power, asking Him to uphold you, guide you, and protect you. Every step you take carries His presence. Every thought is influenced by His wisdom, and every moment becomes an opportunity to experience His strength in action. This is the heart of Keynote 3, prayer for protection and strength. It is the foundation upon which the rest of your day is built. You start by acknowledging that you cannot do it alone, that God is your refuge, and that His strength is sufficient for every challenge. And as you pray, your spirit is fortified, your heart is calm, and your mind is aligned with His power, equipping you to walk through the day confidently, courageously, and under the shelter of His unwavering protection. Every morning brings a choice: to drift through the day responding to circumstances, or to step intentionally into the mission God has placed in your heart. This is the moment to pray not only for protection and strength, but for purpose, mission, and courage. Purpose is the anchor of your life. It is what gives meaning to every decision, every interaction, and every challenge you face. Mission is the expression of that purpose. the tangible way your life impacts others. Courage is the fuel that propels you forward when fear whispers that you cannot succeed or that the world will not understand. Together, these three are inseparable in a life fully surrendered to God, and morning prayer is the key to unlocking them, setting the tone for the entire day. When you pray for purpose, you are acknowledging that your life is not random, that the creator of the universe has a plan uniquely for you. You are saying, Lord, I want to live intentionally. I want to step into the calling you placed in my heart. Help me see the opportunities you've set before me and align my thoughts and actions with your will. Purpose is not about simply achieving goals or filling your calendar. It is about living in alignment with God's design for your life. Every conversation, every decision, every challenge becomes an opportunity to fulfill the mission God has given you when your life is anchored in His purpose. Mission builds on that purpose. It is the practical outworking of the calling God has given you. It is living out your faith in ways that impact the world around you. Morning prayer for mission is not just about asking God to bless your plans. It is about seeking His guidance to make your life a conduit for His love, His truth, and His grace. You are saying, Lord, show me the ways I can be your hands and feet today. Show me who I am meant to encourage, who I am meant to support, who I am meant to inspire. Help me make a difference in the lives you place in my path. Mission transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities for impact. When approached with intentionality and faith, courage is often the missing piece. Even when you know your purpose and understand your mission, fear can paralyze you. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, these are all natural, but they do not have to dictate your actions. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is moving forward in spite of it. In your morning prayer, you can ask God to fill you with the boldness to take risks when necessary, the patience to wait when timing is uncertain, and the perseverance to keep going even when challenges arise. Courage is the bridge between knowing your purpose and acting on your mission. Without it, purpose can remain abstract and mission can remain unrealized. When you begin the day praying for purpose, mission, and courage, you set a spiritual precedent for how you will approach everything that comes your way. This prayer centers your mind on what truly matters and reminds your heart that your life is part of something greater than yourself. It strengthens your resolve to walk in alignment with God's will rather than succumbing to distractions, discouragement, or the opinions of others. Craig Groeschel often emphasizes that courage is cultivated through daily discipline, intentional prayer, and stepping into faith consistently. It's not a one-time surge of bravery, but a lifestyle of relying on God to empower your actions. Morning prayer for purpose also requires reflection. Take a few moments to consider the unique gifts, talents, and experiences God has given you. How can these be used for the benefit of others? How can your skills, your voice, your time, and your influence serve God's kingdom? When you pray for mission, you are asking God to reveal those specific ways you can live out His calling each day. You are seeking divine clarity, not just personal ambition, understanding that the mission God has for you is far more significant than any personal plan you could devise. Courage flows naturally when your sense of purpose and mission is clear. When you know why you are doing something and for whom, fear loses its grip. Challenges become opportunities, obstacles become stepping stones, and criticism becomes a chance to demonstrate faithfulness. In your prayer, you can declare, Lord, I will not be silent when I should speak. I will not stand idle when I should act. I will not shrink back when you call me forward. Fill me with your courage to step boldly into the life you have called me to live. This courage is not superficial bravado. It is grounded in the assurance that God is with you, that He is directing your path, and that His strength will sustain you when your own feels insufficient. Another critical aspect of praying for purpose, mission, and courage is asking God to align your desires with His will. Often, we may think we know what our mission is, but God's vision is always larger, wiser, and more impactful than ours. Morning prayer can be an opportunity to invite Him to refine your vision, to adjust your priorities, and to redirect your energy toward what truly matters. You are saying, Lord, help me want what you want. Help me pursue what you have placed before me, even when it is uncomfortable, challenging, or uncertain. Alignment with God's purpose ensures that courage is not misused and mission is not misguided. Praying in this way also fosters resilience. When difficulties arise, as they inevitably will, you have already positioned your heart to persevere. You have reminded yourself that your life is part of a larger story, that setbacks are temporary, and that God's plan cannot be thwarted. Courage is sustained by faith, and faith is deepened through intentional prayer. Morning prayer for purpose, mission, and courage becomes a spiritual armor that equips you to handle conflict, endure challenges, and press forward in hope and determination. Purpose, mission, and courage are also interdependent. Purpose without mission can become abstract and self-centered. Mission without courage can be abandoned at the first sign of difficulty. Courage without purpose can be reckless and unfocused, but when you combine them in prayer, you create a dynamic framework for life, a foundation that allows you to navigate complexity with clarity, act decisively with intention, and influence the world with love and faith. This is why morning prayer is so vital. It sets the trajectory for your thoughts, words, and actions, ensuring that your day flows from intentionality rather than reaction. As you pray, you can also ask God to connect you with the right people who will support your mission, encourage your purpose, and reinforce your courage. God often uses relationships to strengthen our resolve and to provide the resources, wisdom, and accountability necessary to walk boldly in His plan. You are praying not just for yourself, but for the community that surrounds you, for the people who intersect with your mission and are impacted by your purpose. In practical terms, this prayer can take many forms. You might speak aloud your intentions for the day, journal reflections on your calling, or meditate quietly on God's word to receive clarity and insight. The method matters less than the consistency and sincerity of your heart. As Craig Groeschel teaches, courage and mission are cultivated over time through persistent alignment with God's guidance and through the daily act of stepping out in faith. Morning prayer for purpose, mission, and courage also prepares you to face fear and uncertainty with confidence. When you know your purpose, you are less shaken by criticism. When you understand your mission, you are less distracted by trivial concerns. When you are filled with courage, you are less controlled by hesitation or doubt. The combination of these three elements creates a foundation that allows you to thrive, not just survive, in every situation. You are inviting God to breathe life into your intentions, to empower your actions, and to embolden your spirit. You are reminding yourself that your day is not random, your life is not meaningless, and your efforts are not in vain. Each step you take in alignment with God's purpose, each action performed in pursuit of your mission, and each act of courage you exercise is a declaration that your life is in His hands, that you are His instrument, and that He is guiding you toward a meaningful and impactful day. Through this prayer, you also learn to distinguish between distraction and divine direction. The world will offer countless urgencies, opinions, and distractions, but prayer for purpose, mission, and courage helps you stay focused on what truly matters. You are asking God to help you discern the noise from His voice, the temporary from the eternal, and the important from the trivial. This clarity is crucial because without it, courage can be misapplied and mission can be misdirected. As you cultivate this practice, you begin to notice a shift in your mindset. You wake with intentionality rather than obligation. You move through challenges with resilience rather than frustration. You act in faith rather than fear, and your entire day is shaped by the intentional pursuit of God's plan, guided by prayer and fueled by courage. Purpose, mission, and courage are no longer abstract concepts. They become living, breathing realities that shape your thoughts, actions, and interactions. Your morning prayer becomes a declaration. God, I am here to live with intention. I'm here to act with purpose. I am here to walk boldly in your mission. I will not be paralyzed by fear. I will not be distracted by trivialities. I will step into every opportunity you place before me with courage, wisdom, and grace. And as you speak these words, your heart begins to synchronize with God's will. Your mind becomes focused on His plan, and your spirit is strengthened to face the day with unwavering confidence. Purpose, mission, and courage are not just prayers for personal gain. They are prayers for impact, influence, and transformation. They are prayers that align your life with God's kingdom, that turn ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities, and that empower you to act boldly even in the face of uncertainty. And morning prayer is the key that unlocks them, providing the foundation for a life fully engaged with God's calling, fully committed to His mission, and fully equipped with the courage to step into the unknown with faith and determination. As the morning unfolds, after surrendering, inviting guidance, seeking protection and strength, and aligning with purpose, mission, and courage, your prayer naturally moves into a space of trust and expectation. This is the posture of a heart fully resting in God, confident that He is not only present, but actively working on your behalf. Trust is more than a fleeting feeling. It is a deliberate choice to place every concern, every uncertainty, and every plan into God's hands. Expectation is the companion to trust. It is the confident anticipation that God will move in ways beyond what you can see, orchestrating the events of your day and your life according to His wisdom and goodness. Together, trust and expectation anchor your soul, bringing a sense of peace and readiness to step into the day with faith rather than fear. Trust begins with the acknowledgement that God is in control, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will arise that are beyond your understanding. Perhaps a project at work will take an unexpected turn, a relationship may face tension, or personal goals seem out of reach. Yet trust says, Lord, you see the bigger picture. You are in control of what I cannot control. I will not be anxious because you are faithful. Trust is active. It requires letting go of the illusion of control and choosing to rest in God's sovereignty. It is a conscious declaration that His wisdom and timing are perfect. Even when your immediate circumstances feel uncertain or difficult, expectation is the natural companion to trust, because faith without anticipation is incomplete. When you trust God, you also anticipate His goodness. You begin your day expecting to see His guidance, His protection, His provision, and His miracles unfold in both the ordinary and extraordinary moments. Expectation transforms prayer from a list of requests into a posture of confident belief. It is the difference between asking God for a solution and walking through the day with the awareness that He has already prepared a way. Expectation fuels your hope and strengthens your resolve because you are no longer waiting passively for God to act. You are actively walking in the assurance that He is already at work. Groeschel often teaches that faith is most powerful when it is accompanied by anticipation. When you pray with expectation, you position yourself to recognize God's movement, even in subtle ways. You become attuned to His whispers, His prompts, and His divine interventions. Expectation does not mean demanding specific outcomes. It means being open to God's best, trusting that His plan surpasses your understanding. It is an active posture of hope, courage, and attentiveness, ready to receive His blessings in whatever form they take. Morning prayer that ends with trust and expectation also reinforces the lessons of surrender. You have surrendered your day, invited His guidance, sought protection and strength, and aligned with purpose, mission, and courage. Now, trust completes the cycle. It solidifies your reliance on God. It is the spiritual act of saying, I have done my part by seeking you, and now I rest in your hands. I trust you to lead, to provide, and to work in ways beyond what I can imagine. Expectation naturally arises from this trust, filling your heart with hope and your spirit with readiness. Trust and expectation also reshape your perspective on challenges. When you encounter obstacles, setbacks, or delays, your prayer for trust reminds you that these are not signs of abandonment, but opportunities for growth and refinement. God is not surprised by difficulty. He is already at work in it, shaping, teaching, and guiding you through it. Expectation keeps your eyes fixed on His promises rather than your problems. It allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that every step is under His supervision, every decision is within His knowledge, and every outcome is part of His plan. In practical terms, ending your morning prayer with trust and expectation involves speaking affirmations of faith over your day. You can declare, Lord, I trust you to guide my steps. I trust you to protect my mind and heart. I trust you to provide wisdom and discernment in every decision. I expect your presence to be evident in my relationships, my work, and my actions. I anticipate your peace, your joy, and your favor to accompany me wherever I go. These declarations do not change God's plan. They align your heart with it. They prepare you to notice His hand at work and respond with gratitude and obedience. Trust also anchors your mind against worry. The natural tendency in life is to predict worst-case scenarios, to replay fears, or to anticipate failure. When you end your morning prayer with trust, you counteract those thoughts with faith. You are training your mind to focus on God's character rather than your circumstances, on His promises rather than your doubts. Expectation further reinforces this mindset by reminding you that God's plans are active and unfolding, that He is moving in ways that may be invisible but are profoundly real. This posture of trust and expectation has ripple effects beyond your personal experience. When your heart is anchored in God, it influences your interactions with others. You approach conversations with patience, challenges with resilience, and opportunities with discernment. You are less reactive to stress, more responsive to guidance, and more confident in your decisions. Trust transforms not just your perspective, but your behavior, allowing you to reflect God's presence and His peace to those around you. Prayer that concludes with trust and expectation is also a practice of gratitude. It acknowledges that God's faithfulness has been evident in the past and that His faithfulness will continue in the future. You are reminded of every challenge He has helped you overcome, every blessing He has provided, and every moment of guidance you have received. This remembrance reinforces trust because you can see a pattern of God's goodness and reliability in your own life. Expectation then flows naturally, because if He has been faithful before, you anticipate He will continue to be faithful today and in every day to come. Faith paired with expectation transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones. When you walk with the anticipation that God is already orchestrating your steps, you notice opportunities you may have missed otherwise. Doors that seem closed begin to open. Conversations that seem ordinary take on new significance. Moments of waiting become moments of preparation. Expectation allows you to live proactively in God's grace rather than reactively in fear or uncertainty. Trust and expectation also foster perseverance. Life is filled with moments that test endurance, challenge faith, and demand patience. By cultivating trust in God's control and expecting His active presence, you gain the courage to continue when the path is difficult, when answers seem delayed, or when obstacles appear insurmountable. Trust reminds you that God is working even when you cannot see the full picture, and expectation keeps your eyes lifted toward His promises, sustaining your hope and determination. Ending your morning prayer with trust and expectation is ultimately a declaration of reliance on God's sovereignty and a celebration of His active role in your life. You are consciously placing your day, your choices, and your experiences into His hands, while also positioning your heart to receive His blessings, guidance, and provision. You are praying with confidence that God's plans are good, His timing is perfect, and His power is sufficient to accomplish everything He intends. This combination of surrender, alignment, and active anticipation transforms the way you approach each day, preparing your heart to walk with faith, to act with courage, and to experience the fullness of God's presence and favor. Trust and expectation invite a mindset of hope that transcends circumstances. They are not passive attitudes, but intentional choices to believe in God's character and anticipate His work. When you end your morning prayer in this way, you are not merely completing a ritual. You are shaping the lens through which you see your day, your decisions, and your life. Trust calms anxiety. Expectation ignites hope. And together, they create a spiritual posture that carries you with confidence and peace into every situation, every interaction, and every challenge. As your morning prayer concludes in this space of trust and expectation, your soul is prepared to move into the day with a new perspective. The combination of reliance on God's sovereignty and anticipation of His movement aligns your spirit with His purposes. It empowers you to walk boldly, act wisely, and engage fully in the mission He has placed before you. Trust anchors your heart in certainty. Expectation expands your vision beyond the visible, and together they infuse your day with confidence, peace, and an openness to the blessings God has prepared. In essence, ending your prayer with trust and expectation is an acknowledgement that God is both the source and sustainer of everything in your life. It is a declaration that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances, guiding steps, and providing strength, wisdom, and courage for every challenge and opportunity. It transforms prayer from a list of requests into a posture of faith-filled readiness. You are saying, Lord, I believe you are at work. I trust you completely. I expect your goodness, your guidance, and your favor to unfold today. And as you pray these words, your heart is positioned to experience the day with clarity, courage, and the confident assurance that God is already ahead, leading you, protecting you, and fulfilling His perfect plan in your life. As we draw this hour of prayer together to a close, the journey we've walked in these moments, from surrender and gratitude to inviting God's guidance, seeking protection and strength, aligning with purpose and mission, and finally resting in trust and expectation, reveals a powerful truth. Our mornings set the tone for our entire day. When we begin with God, every thought, every action, and every choice is anchored in His presence. The intentionality of starting the day in prayer transforms ordinary routines into sacred rhythms and ordinary decisions into opportunities to live out His will. Through surrender, we release the weight of control, acknowledging that God's plans are higher, wiser, and more perfect than our own. Gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us to notice the blessings and miracles already surrounding us. Inviting God's guidance and wisdom positions us to navigate the day with clarity and discernment, ensuring that our choices align with His purposes. Seeking protection and strength reminds us that we are never alone, that God surrounds us with His armor, empowering us to face every challenge with courage and resilience. Aligning with purpose, mission, and courage anchors us in intentional living, motivating us to act boldly in the assignments God has placed in our hearts. Finally, resting in trust and expectation cultivates peace, hope, and confident anticipation of God's movement in our lives, allowing us to walk boldly and faithfully through each moment. This hour of prayer is not an end, but a beginning, a foundation upon which the rest of your day and ultimately your life can be built. It equips you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally to face whatever comes your way with confidence, purpose, and joy. When you practice this daily, you are training your heart to recognize God's presence, your mind to focus on His guidance, and your soul to rest in His unwavering love. Each step becomes intentional, each interaction infused with grace, and each challenge met with divine strength. As we step forward from this time of prayer, let us carry the awareness that God is not distant or passive. He is active, moving, guiding, protecting, and blessing in ways both seen and unseen. Let us walk in His presence, embrace His purpose, rely on His strength, and live with courage and expectation. The blessings, protection, and direction we seek are already present when we choose to begin our day with Him. Our prayer becomes the launch pad for a day filled with divine encounters, purposeful action, and the confident assurance that God is with us, shaping every step and orchestrating every outcome according to His perfect will. This is the power of starting your day with God, an hour of prayer that transforms not just your morning, but your mindset, your mission, and your life. It is a reminder that when we place our hearts fully in His hands, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, challenges become opportunities, and the day ahead is infused with His presence, guidance, and blessings. The rhythm of surrender, guidance, protection, purpose, courage, trust, and expectation is a spiritual framework that, when practiced consistently, cultivates a life marked by peace, clarity, and divine impact. By engaging in this morning prayer, we choose a posture of faith over fear, action over stagnation, and hope over doubt. We recognize that every day is a gift and every moment is an opportunity to live in alignment with God's perfect plan. And in that recognition, we discover a deep, abiding peace, a confidence that comes not from our abilities, our resources, or our circumstances, but from the one who holds the universe in his hands and walks with us through every step of our journey. This hour of prayer leaves us spiritually fortified, mentally focused, and emotionally grounded. It calls us to live intentionally, love courageously, and move confidently, knowing that God's guidance, protection, and favor accompany us throughout the day. It reminds us that true strength is found not in our own efforts, but in a surrendered heart that trusts, obeys, and expects God's presence to lead and bless. Every day we choose this rhythm, we step into life fully empowered, fully prepared, and fully aligned with the God who has already gone ahead, already prepared the way, and already equipped us to live a life of purpose, impact, and divine blessing.